Kia ora. So today we're here with Tessy. Tessy has recently completed the 30-day Te Reo Māori Bootcamp course in March of 2023. Kia ora, Tessy.
Kia ora, Grant.
Thank you for jumping on. Before we jump into the questions, I might just hand over to you quickly, and maybe in a couple of sentences, you could just share who you are, where you're from, all of just the basics.
Well, of course, my name is Tessy. It's actually Teresa, and but I got Tessy from my mother. I'm Australian, as you can tell by my very strong Australian accent. I was born in the Blue Mountains, Katoomba, but most of my life has been spent on the parts of Queensland and on the northern beaches of New South Wales. So I was married very young to a Māori man, and I have two children by him who are grown adults now. They live in New Zealand. He passed away many years ago, so we tried to find classes for Māori speaking and that sort of thing, but in that time it was very, very limited, so we couldn't get the language, and unfortunately his family was not terribly well connected with each other at that time, so hence why I feel so strongly about it. And both my children in New Zealand now can speak fluent Te Reo, so I'm trying to catch up with them.
Got some catching up to do.
Yeah,
well, I'm sure they're very, very appreciative of
course, and I have three grandchildren over there, so yeah, that's all good.
Awesome. Well, thank you for sharing a bit of the context for yourself and a bit more about your background. So before you've probably shared a little bit in what you've already said there, but before you started the course, what was your world like, your relationship like with Te Reo Māori, with Te Ao Māori? Is there anything more you could maybe expand on what you just shared?
I was fortunate enough in this area to meet with some Māori people who actually did run a class, but it was more than 3 years ago now, and I learnt the basics, but within that time, not speaking it and not having it around me a lot, you tend to lose. So I pretty much lost, what I'd learnt, sort of thing. So, and then when I go back to New Zealand to be with the family and that, I felt a little bit isolated, I'd say, in certain areas, because they're speaking Te Reo and I can't. And then I felt they were holding back because of me as well. And I don't want that to be a part of their lives or my lives. So, yeah, we want to bring it all together. So that's what I'm trying to do.
Well, you're making some fantastic progress. So, Tessy, when you first saw the course, were there any obstacles to you joining? Was there any apprehension or anything that maybe had you sort of sitting on the fence, umming and ahhing about joining?
Yes, because I'm reasonably shy until I get to know people, until I'm quite confident in my area. And then I felt that if I made mistakes, I'd be embarrassed. I wasn't sure how I might be supported, being Pākehā and Australian as well. I felt maybe not knowing enough about the culture at times might be drawbacks, those sorts of things. And of course, but you learn as you go that it's a lovely group to be with, and it was a lovely group. And the teacher's a very good teacher. So it was a bit more comfortable after the first few lessons, and you find your footing, so to speak.
Yeah, I completely understand, and you and I even got to connect on another level, just trying to fix IT issues.
That's right. Yes.
I don't often have to jump on a video call to do troubleshooting, but we got that sorted.
Yes, it's my new unit that I'm living in, so it's a little bit different.
But that's all part of the service. That was my commitment at the start. If you need help with anything to do with the course, let me know. We can jump on a call and we can get it sorted, even if it's IT issues.
Oh, you certainly did. Thank you.
So having gone through the course, through the 30 days, for you personally, what was the biggest result, the biggest thing that you got from participating?
I felt that I gained more confidence in understanding Te Reo, the language and the structure of the language. And in doing so, that helps to I feel more confident then to use it, because I'm using it in the correct manner. The correct wording and the directional vocabulary that makes a very big difference in building your confidence in that regard, because you know the correct structures, how to use it. I mean, it's still a lot to learn, but that's a very big part of it, isn't it, to begin with? And I've also made a few, connections, few more connections with people through the course as well. And the fact that I can keep going back to that course is very, very, very good, very helpful.
I'm glad. Yeah, you've made some connections there. A lot of people don't really. It's one of the areas it's a little bit hard for me to try and impress upon people when they're thinking about joining, is that you actually get to work pretty closely with, really like-minded people that have very similar desires to you. And I've recently just finished a call with Bob, and even Bob was saying, I've got a great new friend now in Brad, and we live not too far from each other, and we've actually caught up socially. And you join the course because you want to learn Te Reo Māori, and you come away with a great friend. That's awesome.
Well, see, I've connected with Sharon and her husband, but they're very busy people, but we're still managing to be able to do that. So that's really good.
Yeah, being able to build that network of like-minded people that, even though you might live in different locations, or have different jobs, or lead completely different lives, you've got this common interest that you can still connect over, which is really great. I'm really glad to hear that for you.
Yes, that's and it's very important that you can reach out to someone. I mean, I know I could probably always reach out to you, but sometimes it's always, you've got that other person there, or a couple of other people there as well, so you can throw ideas around as well.
Yep, absolutely. So what specific feature of the course did you like most, or served you the best? We had the accountability groups, we had the sort of lessons and homework structure, we had the daily activities that we went through, we had the live videos that people were pressed to do. What particular feature really helped you the most?
Well, I like the idea that you can, like I said before, you can always go back to the lessons over again as many times, and the 𝐿𝐵𝐴𝐺, the learning, even the just having the 𝐻𝐼𝐴𝐺𝐻, and the repetition of that, which you hear the language over and over and you pick it up better. Yeah, I think. And even our accountability groups were really good, even though mine didn't start great, but I still got one, and still connected with those people as well, and looking at their ideas and the way they do things as well is also a help, because some of them were ahead of me, sort of, look like they've sort of been learning more Māori for longer, sort of thing. So I'll take into account their experiences as well.
Yeah,
But the whole structure, I think the whole structure, the way it's structured is very good. And particularly in my case, where you did a lesson on pronunciation for an Aussie, I know I have a very strong Aussie accent. So that's something that I will practice probably every day, because I'll never get the proper vowel sounds and things.
What do they say? The Aussie twang, can't lose that twang.
And it really is.
Your point there about the accountability groups and being able to sort of learn from one another. Again, this is another area that's very difficult for me to sort of portray, but you can put 3 people together and teach them all the exact same thing, and they'll all pick up different nuances, or they've got different experiences that help feed into that learning experience. And so, you might notice something that someone else doesn't. So that's why that's why the accountability groups are incorporated into the course. So it's not just me sitting here trying to teach you. You're actually bouncing off like-minded people that can see, you're all looking at the same apple, but you're all just looking at it from different perspectives, and you can share all those perspectives, to really enhance that learning experience.
Yeah, and I think that's what we do. And because we've all got the same goal, so we're going to work together, aren't we, to get to that end. So yes, it's good if we've got the groups that we seem to just fit in with each other. So it's very good in that regard.
Awesome. So moving on, would you recommend this course to someone that's considering joining, and if so, why?
I definitely would, but I think that it's a really good idea just to have a basic knowledge of Māori. But the way you formatted it, I don't really think it'll make a big difference. People still get it anyway. But you have to be really careful with your timing. You're going to keep up with it. I mean, I cheated a little bit. I didn't do all the homework, but the way it's structured, I could go back the next day and do the homework the next day. So, and I definitely would recommend it to people who are trying to, learn Te Reo. And it's just a much simpler, structured way of doing it, of learning it. I mean, particularly those that haven't been, there's so many Maoris living in Australia that have been here for such a long time who and their kids will miss out if they don't sort of, which is a shame. It's a shame when that happens. And I mean, you've done a wonderful thing by going in and doing what you've done. So you should be very proud of yourself as well.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. Oh, you've got me lost for words now.
Well,
I'm not often caught up like that, but that was very nice. Thank you. Well, look, that's all the questions. But I will ask you one last thing. This video is obviously going to go out onto social media and out into the interweb. So someone will potentially be watching it in a day's time, in a month's time, in a year's time, in 10 years' time. Do you have any parting thoughts or anything that you'd like to share to someone that's watching this video in the future from your particular experience and perspective?
Just don't be scared. Just try, if you make mistakes, you make mistakes. You can go forward from the mistakes that you make. So you learn by your mistakes. And I just think it's important that people have their language, you know, their own language. It doesn't matter whether it's Māori, French, English, Italian, you know, learn it, do it for your own sake. If you've always got that procrastination in the back of your mind, oh, I should have done it, I won't do it, because then you don't have any regrets, you know.
Yep, I was just about to say that procrastination often leads to regret.
Yes, yes. So that's all I can really say is, and it's not something that you're going to pick up tomorrow. It's a long time journey, isn't it? You know, so you just get better at it a little bit each day.
Yep.
Hopefully.
Yep. Sometimes we can look at, you know, trying to go and learn something or you know, try something new as often, you know, there's a start and then there's going to be an end. Whereas learning a language is kind of like a train flying past you. You've got to just jump on it. Like, it's just going to keep going forever. And, you know, it is a lifelong journey. And like you said, I just spoke to Bob earlier, and he said the exact same thing as you just did, but he said his analogy was you got to grab the bull by the horns and just go.
Yes. Yeah.
Yep.
That's very true. That's true.
Oh, thank you very much for jumping on the call and sharing your experiences, Tessy. I'm sure there's a lot of people out there that are very, very similar to you. There's a lot of Māori in Australia. There's a lot of Māori that have ended up with Aussies, whether they're males or females. And I'm sure there's a lot of people that are sitting in a position like you, where they're an Australian without any Māori whakapapa, Māori heritage, but they're connected through marriage or through a relationship, that are looking to extend on that relationship through Te Reo Māori. So I really think this is going to be a video that a lot of people are going to pay attention to, because there'll be a lot of people around the country that are sitting there in a position very similar to yours. And I think they're going to get a lot of inspiration from what you've shared. So thank you, Tessy. I appreciate it.
Oh, it's my pleasure. Thank you.
Awesome.
Okay.
All right. Well, that's it. Thank you, Tessy. Look, if you're interested in joining the 30-day Te Reo Māori course, please follow along starting in Te Reo Māori on Facebook for updates on the next course. And yeah, hopefully we'll see you on the next course.
Oh, I'm sure you will somewhere.
Kia ora.